Oh, that's a big question. I'll try. Well, I started out as a musician aged 16, and I was a musician for 15 years and had a lot of success. I had the #1 record in most countries of the world, Everlasting Love, which most people remember to this day, thankfully. I was managed by the great Robert Stigwood, so I was in an organisation that had the Bee Gees, that had Eric Clapton, among others, and I ran my own record company. I had to give up the music business when I was in my 30s because of a serious medical complaint. I went back to full-time education, gained an honours degree in ancient and medieval history from King's College London, and during that time I became a writer, mainly of sporting subjects, and I've written 6 books on football. My last book, I became a ghostwriter for the first time in my life, so I'd never done that before. An experience that was, and I wrote a book about Viv Anderson, his autobiography. Viv Anderson was the first black footballer ever to play for England. Interesting story. I was at King's College in my first year, and I've always been a football lover, and I used to take this magazine once a month called World Soccer, one of the most prestigious of football magazines in the world. And at the time, there was a lot of arguments going on within the television industry about showing football on television. There were arguments about money, there were arguments about airtime, there was a lot of dissension, and of course there was a lot of hooliganism at the time, and football had a poor image. So I decided one day to ring up World Soccer, speak to their editor if I could get hold of him, which luckily I did, and ask him if he would be interested in an article on football on television. And he said yes. I said, well, I'd like to write one. He said, well, write one then, because we haven't covered it for 10 years. He said, I'm not sure I'm going to publish it because it depends on how good it is, but write it and we'll see. So I went round and interviewed loads of people, knocked on doors, went here, there and everywhere, and came up with an article. The article was a massive success, and within weeks it was being quoted all around the football world. It turned into 3 articles for World Soccer, and I was offered a position writing about football for the Sunday Telegraph, which I took up on a part-time basis because, of course, I was studying for my degree. I knew his music, obviously. Followed his career, but no, I didn't know him at the time. I often used to get from CBS, well, certainly in the CBS days, advanced copies of his albums, which was really nice. Up until I wrote the book, I'd never had any personal interaction with him at all. Oh, it must have been only a week before or around the official release date, and I think it was Speechless that was played, but it might have been Butterflies, I can't remember exactly. And I thought, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. And of course, Michael hadn't had an album since, or a new album since History. I know there was Blood on the Tracks, the remixes, but for a new album, this was the first one, and History was a favourite of mine. So I went, when I heard this, I thought, I've got to go and buy it. And I stopped at a record store, remember when we used to have those, and tried to buy the CD. And it never occurred to me that they wouldn't have the CD in the store. You know, how could they not? This is Michael Jackson.
Exactly.
But I went into the store, I think might have been Tower Records down in Piccadilly, and they didn't have copies of it. This is a new Michael Jackson record, and they didn't have copies of it. They ordered it for me, but it took me a couple of weeks actually to get hold of a copy of it. The moment I got it, I loved it. I loved everything about it. I thought, this is absolutely an album that brings Michael right back into his best form. But it always struck me as strange that a Michael Jackson album would not be in the shops. And it was some years later when I wrote the book and I researched what happened with that suddenly it made sense, but that was some years later. I mean, I do love Speechless, I do. It's absolutely brilliant. I love Butterflies, and Invincible itself, that track is so funky. It's just so, it's got such a rhythm to it. And the use of the way he sings it is just brilliant. You know, all his music to me just somehow touched you. And with Invincible, I think the songs were saying something personal about his experience, especially, no, I'm not talking about his experience as a child or his experience as a star, but perhaps his experience of the last few years before that came out. Well, I think there are two reasons, really. The first is going back to the experience that I told you about trying to buy it. So I always felt that album in particular had a rough ride from the critics and in terms of its marketing. So when you told me about the campaign, it was an opportunity to say, okay, you know, I like that album, I love that album. I don't think it got the fullest airing at the time, and it'd be great for the 10th anniversary to be recognised. The second reason is that, you know, when my book came out, and ever since the book has come out, the Michael Jackson fans around the world have been very good they've bought it, they've spoken to me, they've interacted with me. So to help them, as it were, was very important to me, to give something back, I guess. First of all, 10 years is always a good amount of time. It's a nice anniversary to do something on. And I don't know whether you've already explained to your viewers that the campaign is designed to take Invincible back into the charts, hopefully to number one in as many countries as possible, to coincide with the 10th anniversary of its original release. That is October 2011, so I would ask all of you out there to buy it during the month of October. As for Michael, it meant a lot to him, I think, this album. He did say, I believe, that it was his favourite album of all the albums he made. And I can understand why he would say that. And I think the fact that his fans now and the wider world is still interested in that album, that they have decided to try and bring that album back to where it rightfully should be. I think Michael would have been very seriously moved and pleased by that. It's during the month of October 2011. New copies from any source, buy one at a time, because multiple copies bought count as one sale. So if you want to buy five, please, but buy them one at a time if you can. You can get them off from Amazon. If there are any records or CD stores left in the world, you can buy them there. And I'm sure there's any number of electronic music stores where you can download it from, if that's what you want to do.